Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. A little bit of a different angle here. I wanted to talk about The Lost Boys, so I figured I'd stand in front of my poster in my basement. So, The Lost Boys, if you don't know, is one of my favorite movies. It's up there for me with Road Warrior, Brazil, Zero Theorem, Planet of the Apes, Johnny Mnemonic, Nirvana, a lot of my favorite films. Lost Boys was probably my first favorite movie as a kid. I used to watch that and The Goonies a ton. I was talking to my friend Mike. Shout out to him. I'm not going to say his last name. He knows who he is. And I said, what should I do a video on? You know, because he's like, oh, I like listening to you when you just ramble on about crap. And I said, what should I do a video on? And he goes, The Lost Boys. So I guess him and I have that in common as well. We've known each other a long time. So The Lost Boys, if you haven't seen it, is a awesome vampire film. Some people compare it to Twilight, but I guess at that time it's the closest thing to something like Twilight, but much, much better. It stars Jason Patric, Kiefer Sutherland, Jamie Gertz, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman's back there somewhere. You got Alex Winter from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and you may recognize a couple of the other faces as well, Diane Wiest, etc. So it's a great movie about Jason Patric and his brother Corey Haim moving to the grandfather's house in the middle of nowhere in California. And not in the middle of nowhere, but it's different to them, I guess. They were from the middle of nowhere in Arizona, I think. And they end up there. It's very different. The parents got divorced. And all this creepy stuff starts happening in the area, and they realize that the area is infested with vampires. And it just so happens that Jason Patric starts to befriend them. This was, again, one of my favorite movies as a kid. The soundtrack was in my headphones with a cassette and then later on a CD, constantly. One of the best movie soundtracks ever, hands down. In Excess, Jimmy Barnes, Echo and the Bunnymen doing an excellent cover of The Doors, better than The Doors if you ask me. Just a great soundtrack all in. I have like 5 posters from the film. I have a Spanish poster. They're not down here. Some of them are at my parents' house till I left them up in their attic. I have the regular poster. I have this Subway poster. So I don't know if you can tell. This poster is probably about 4 feet. My parents ordered this for me off of eBay like 25 years ago probably, from a Subway poster that the guy took from the Subway in California when the movie was out in the 80s. They made 2 sequels. They're both okay. They're doable. They're just not nearly as good as the first film. The Tribe is the second one. It feels like a rehash of the first film. And then the third one goes up more into something like a sci-fi movie. The channel sci-fi, like a sci-fi original about vampires and Corey Feldman and the Frog Brothers. But one of my first crushes ever, besides Winona Ryder and Christina Ricci, was Jamie Gertz. She has dark brown hair like my wife and a long nose like my wife. When my son was a baby, he would see it and he'd point at it and say, Mama. They don't look that similar, but they both have big hair and like long faces. I'm trying to think what else I wanted to say about the film. It's just a phenomenal film, and I think it holds up today. It's got a great sense of humor, an excellent cast that back then was considered really like a big cast of a lot of good people, and it was directed by Joel Schumacher, who, rest in peace, did a lot of excellent films. So if you haven't seen The Lost Boys, highly recommend it. If you like vampire movies and you haven't seen it, I don't know where you've been your whole life. But great stuff. And if you want, check out the soundtrack. It's a great rockin' soundtrack. I think most people would really enjoy it who like, old pop and old classic rock. Roger Daltrey's on it from The Who, so maybe that'll do something for you. Let me know, guys, if you've seen The Lost Boys. I'm sure most of you have at this point. Thanks, guys, for watching. What's up, Mike? It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good. I almost forgot to mention, I used to model myself after people from the film. I used to wear sunglasses, leather jackets, not so much anymore. But the other thing is, I have a couple tattoos of vampire women, and one of them was based off of Star on The Lost Boys. Dark brown hair. It was from a comic that we found, but it looked similar to her, so I always called her Star. So I love the movie that much that I've gotten tattoos of vampire women because of The Lost Boys.